Story 1. The Watcher in the Cabin. Emma had always been a city girl, but after her breakup, she decided to rent a remote cabin in the woods of Oregon to clear her mind. The cabin was quaint, with old wooden floors that creaked with every step and a fireplace that spat embers unpredictably. The first night passed uneventfully, but on the second night, Emma woke up to the sensation of being watched. She scanned the room, eyes adjusting to the darkness. Nothing seemed out of place. Dismissing it as paranoia, she tried to sleep but couldn't shake the feeling. The next morning, she noticed muddy footprints leading from the window to her bed. The footprints didn't match her shoes. She checked all the doors and windows, but everything was locked. That night, she decided to stay awake. At around 3 a.m., she heard soft, deliberate footsteps approaching her bedroom. Her heart pounded as the footsteps stopped right outside her door. Then, a faint whisper echoed through the cabin, "I see you." Emma grabbed her phone to call 911, but it was dead. The footsteps started again, moving away from the door, back toward the living room. Emma mustered the courage to peek through the crack. Standing there, staring directly at her, was a gaunt man with wild eyes, holding a rusty axe. Before she could react, he vanished into the woods. The police arrived hours later and found no signs of forced entry, but they did find a hidden crawlspace beneath the cabin floor with a filthy sleeping bag, empty food cans, and a notebook filled with pages that read, "She doesn't know I'm here." Story 2. The Crying Woman. In 2018, Kyle moved to a small apartment in New Orleans, trying to start fresh after a messy divorce. The place was cheap, too cheap, and he soon found out why. On the first night, he heard faint sobbing coming from the apartment next door. He tried to ignore it, but the crying persisted every night, always around 2 a.m. After a week, Kyle asked the landlord about the crying woman. The landlord's expression darkened. "No one lives in that unit," he said. Kyle's blood ran cold. Determined to prove it was just a mistake, he waited up that night, watching the hallway through his peephole. At exactly 2 a.m., he heard the sobbing again. He opened his door and stepped into the hallway. The crying grew louder, coming from the supposedly empty apartment. He put his ear against the door. "Please help me," a woman's voice whimpered from the other side. Kyle's heart pounded. He tried the doorknob. It was locked. Just as he was about to knock, the sobbing stopped. The hallway fell eerily silent. The next day, he pressed the landlord for answers. The landlord finally revealed that a woman named Lena had lived there 5 years ago. She was found dead in her bathtub, wrist slit, after her boyfriend left her. Since then, every tenant in Kyle's apartment had either moved out or gone mad, claiming to hear her cries. That night, Kyle packed his bags. But as he was leaving, he heard Lena's voice again, closer than ever, "You can't leave me." When he turned around, the door to the empty apartment was wide open, and Lena stood in the darkness, eyes hollow, with fresh blood dripping from her wrists. Story 3. The Mirror Man. In 2022, Jenna inherited her grandmother's house in rural Pennsylvania. The house was filled with antique furniture, including a large, ornate mirror in the hallway. The first night, Jenna walked past the mirror and thought she saw someone standing behind her, a man with a twisted grin. She spun around, but no one was there. The next day, Jenna cleaned the mirror and noticed a small crack in the upper corner. When she touched it, she felt a sharp, icy sensation shoot up her arm. That night, she had a nightmare of the same man, standing in the mirror, his grin wider, his eyes black pits. He whispered, "I'm coming." Over the next few days, Jenna started avoiding the mirror, but she could still feel the man's presence. The air grew colder around it, and shadows seemed to move within the glass. One evening, as she was walking down the hall,